We floatingly coexist with a monster. For 4.5 billion years, a thermonuclear tyrant has sat at the absolute center of our reality, anchoring 99.8% of all the mass in the solar system. We call it the Sun, a deceptively serene blanket of daylight that masks a chaotic, hyper-violent plasma furnace. It is not our gentle protector. It is a volatile, self-sustaining nuclear bomb held in a fragile truce by its own crushing gravity. Every single second, this cosmic engine fuses 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium, converting raw mass into a blinding torrent of pure energy that radiates across the freezing void of space. It bends space-time, dictates the trajectories of worlds, and holds the absolute power to create or instantly incinerate biological life. Human consciousness is fundamentally incapable of perceiving the true physical scale of this celestial furnace. We look up at our sky and perceive our home planet, this vibrant blue Earth, as an expansive, massive fortress of rock and ocean. But the moment you place Earth side by side with the Sun, our entire world is instantly reduced to a microscopic speck of cosmic dust, a single grain of sand drifting against a roaring wall of fire. The diameter of the Sun is 109 times that of Earth. To truly comprehend its sheer, gargantuan volume, you would have to hollow out the Sun and physically pack more than 1.3 million Earths inside its core just to fill the void. Even the sweeping solar prominences, those loops of superheated plasma that the Sun casually loops hundreds of thousands of miles into space, are so monstrously vast that dozens of Earths could pass through their blazing arches simultaneously without ever touching the sides. Everything humanity has ever built, every empire that rose and fell, and every ocean we have crossed is nothing more than a microscopic punctuation mark on the surface of this titan. To understand the true threat of this celestial furnace, we must journey beneath its blinding photosphere into a realm where human physics breaks down entirely. At the absolute core of the Sun, the pressure is 300 billion times greater than Earth's atmosphere, squeezing matter so tightly that atoms lose their identities and dissolve into a dense soup of free electrons and nuclei. Here, temperatures soar to 15 million degrees Celsius, forcing protons to overcome their natural electromagnetic repulsion and lock together in the terrifying embrace of nuclear fusion. The light, born in this violent core, does not escape easily. It takes over 100,000 years for a single photon to fight its way through the dense, crushing radiative zone, bouncing trillions of times through a subatomic labyrinth before escaping into the boiling convective zone. By the time this energy reaches the surface, it transforms the Sun into a churning sea of ionized gas, a dynamic plasma ocean governed not by the laws of chemistry, but by the twisted, unpredictable mechanics of magnetohydrodynamics. Because the Sun is made of fluid plasma rather than solid rock, it undergoes differential rotation. The equator spins much faster than the poles, dragging the Sun's internal magnetic field lines with it, stretching them, twisting them, and winding them into tight, unstable knots beneath the surface. When these magnetic ropes become too tense, they violently burst through the photosphere, choking off the upward flow of heat from the core. This creates sunspots, colossal, relatively cold islands of dark magnetic suppression, some of which are many times wider than the entire planet Earth. These sunspots are the staging grounds for cosmic warfare. The twisted magnetic loops arching above them hold billions of tons of superheated plasma in suspense, storing an incomprehensible amount of kinetic energy. When these overlapping magnetic fields twist too far, they undergo a violent phenomenon known as magnetic reconnection. The lines snap, cross, and realign, instantly releasing the energy of millions of hydrogen bombs in a single blinding flash. This is a solar flare, a localized explosion of catastrophic radiation. But it is often followed by something far more terrifying: a coronal mass ejection. A CME is a literal detachment of the sun's corona, a monstrous bubble containing billions of tons of magnetized plasma, launched into the interplanetary void at speeds exceeding several million miles per hour. If a major coronal mass ejection is directed toward Earth, it becomes an existential threat to modern human civilization. The solar storm tears through space, flattening the planet's protective magnetosphere and inducing violent electrical currents directly into our global power grids. This is not theoretical. In 1859, a superstorm known as the Carrington event slammed into Earth. The resulting geomagnetic storm was so intense that telegraph wires melted, offices caught fire, and the northern lights were so bright that birds began to sing at midnight in the middle of the Americas. If a Carrington-class event occurred today, the consequences would be apocalyptic. Our global civilization is entirely dependent on ultra-sensitive electronic infrastructure, high-voltage transformers, and interconnected satellite networks. A direct hit from a super CME would instantly fry satellite electronics, knocking out global communication, GPS navigation, and internet arrays. On the ground, the induced currents would blow out mega transformers across every major continent, collapsing power grids and plunging entire nations into a darkness that could last for months or even years. Without electricity, water treatment facilities stop, supply chains shatter, financial markets vanish, and food distribution collapses. We are racing through space in the path of a celestial sniper rifle, protected only by an invisible magnetic shield that is slowly weakening. The sun is a ticking chronological bomb, and history proves that its next super eruption is not a matter of if, but a terrifying certainty of when. This terrifying cosmic violence inflicted by the sun is, paradoxically, the exact same force that creates the most breathtaking, magnificent spectacles observable by human eyes. Normally, the blinding glare of the photosphere completely hides the sun's true outer atmosphere from our sight. There is only one brief, magical moment when humanity can witness the multi-million-degree plasma dance with the naked eye: a total solar eclipse. As the moon moves into perfect alignment, blocking the fiery disk of the sun, the cosmos seems to hold its breath. In that sudden darkness, the silver crown of the solar corona reveals itself, waving its ethereal banners across the black sky. These silent, beautiful streams of light are, in reality, the visual outlines of billions of tons of plasma trapped along lines of intense magnetic warfare. And when the remnants of these solar storms finally crash into Earth, they drape our atmosphere in curtains of ghost-like light, the auroras. High-energy charged particles fired from the sun slam into Earth's magnetic shield at millions of miles per hour. As they slide down the magnetic lines toward the poles, they collide violently with oxygen and nitrogen atoms in our upper atmosphere. The resulting vibrant green and deep violet lights are not just beautiful displays, they are the visual scars of an ongoing cosmic war, the stunning proof that our planet's invisible magnetic fortress is actively shielding us from destruction. For millennia, humanity could only watch this tyrant from a safe distance, assuming that to approach it meant instant annihilation. But in recent years, human ingenuity did the impossible. We built a machine to touch the sun. NASA's Parker Solar Probe is currently executing one of the most daring, extreme trajectories in space exploration history. Protected by an advanced 4.5-inch thick carbon composite shield that endures temperatures reaching nearly 1,400 degrees Celsius, the probe has officially crossed the Alphen critical surface. It has entered the solar atmosphere, flying directly through the plasma of the corona. The data it is sending back is shattering old textbooks. It has discovered mysterious switchbacks, violent S-shaped kinks in the solar magnetic field that whip plasma away from the sun at hypervelocities. By physically entering the furnace, this robotic explorer is uncovering the secret mechanics behind what accelerates the solar wind, mapping the very terrain of the monster so that civilization on Earth might one day predict the solar superstorms before they strike. But the ultimate threat of the sun lies in its distant, unalterable future. Like all stars, its fuel supply is strictly finite. Every second that passes brings the sun closer to its inevitable structural collapse. In about 1 billion years, long before the core completely runs out of hydrogen, the sun's internal temperature will rise significantly, causing it to burn brighter and hotter. This gradual increase in solar luminosity will trigger a catastrophic runaway greenhouse effect on Earth, boiling our vast oceans into vapor, stripping our atmosphere, and erasing every single trace of the biological biosphere. Then, in 5 billion years, the hydrogen core will finally empty. Gravity will triumph, crushing the core and spiking the core temperature until it ignites helium fusion. This sudden burst of energy will cause the outer layers of the sun to expand exponentially, swelling into a monstrous red giant star. It will physically swallow the orbits of Mercury and Venus, turning the night sky of a dead, melting Earth into a roaring ceiling of stellar plasma. Eventually, the red giant will shed its outer layers into space, creating a beautiful, glowing planetary nebula, leaving behind only a cold, dead, compressed core the size of Earth, a white dwarf. The solar system will become a silent graveyard of frozen, charred rocks orbiting a dimming ember. We owe our existence to this volatile engine, but we are also bound to its terminal countdown. To survive the cosmic timeline, humanity must eventually look beyond this cradle, outgrow our native star, and seek new sanctuaries in the dark. Thank you for exploring the Solar System Chronicles with Science Odyssey. If you are ready to journey deeper into the void, subscribe and join us for the next chapter, where we venture to the closest, most extreme world of contradictions, the frozen hell of Mercury. Thanks for watching.